What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of J&D Sports Talk. In this episode, I'm going to be breaking down a little preview of the NFC East. As you guys seen, I did the NFC North, I did the AFC West, and I did the AFC South. Today, we're going to do the NFC East. Hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you check out our other videos. Make sure you also check out our TikTok and Twitch. And the Commanders, they were a really surprising good team last year. I don't think many people had them going to the NFC Championship. But Dallas, new era with them. A lot of issues off the field right now going on for them with ownership and some players. But Schoenheimer looks to prove everybody wrong because a lot of people are doubting him. And then the Giants, I guess they have a little hope this season for the first time in a while. And Philadelphia just won the Super Bowl. So let's break down these teams' rosters and look at their schedule. All right, the first team we're going to talk about is the New York Giants. New quarterback, Russell Wilson. They also drafted Jackson Dart, which I believe could be good for them. Just needs a season or two, though, behind Russell. He looked really good in the preseason. Then at running back, you have Tyron Tracy Jr., Devin Singletary, Cam Skadaboo. I think Cam Skadaboo could be the starter soon. That's definitely a electric running back room, though. Then at wide receiver, you got Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton. I wish they added another better receiver for the 2 spot. Have Wan'Dale and Robinson kind of split the 3 role and bring in a good 2. And then at tight end, very young group, Daniel Bellinger, Theo Johnson. And at left tackle, you have Andrew Thomas, who's been really good. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you have the best pass rush in the league with Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau if he works out. And then at linebacker, you have Bobby Okereke. Excuse me. You just got safety Javon Holland from the Dolphins. He's underrated. Tyler Nubin, I think, is solid from Minnesota. And then you have Deontay Banks. You signed Paulson Adebo. McFadden's a tackle monster. This defense looks good. I think it's going to be a good unit. It's just going to come down to, for the Giants, how Russell Wilson does and how that offense plays together. A lot of people had a thought, including me, that the Giants could be a surprising team this year until you look at their schedule. They play, obviously, the Commanders, the Cowboys, and the Eagles twice, so that's 6 games. And then they play the Vikings, they play the Niners, they play the Broncos, they play the Chargers, they play the Lions, they play the Packers, who are all playoff teams. They play the Chiefs. This is insane. Week 1 on the road, they take a loss. Oh, oops. Did not mean to click W. They take a loss. They take another loss here, another one here. Another one here. They start 0-4. They get a win against New Orleans, though. Then they lose to Philly. They lose to Denver. They lose to Philly again. Lose to San Fran. They pull an upset off over the Bears. They lose to Green Bay. Lose to Detroit. They lose to New England. They lose to Washington. They lose to Minnesota. They pull off an upset kind of against the Raiders, and then they lose. Or they win the last game of the year. They split with Dallas. This team could make a little bit of noise, I think. They could kind of do what I think the Raiders are going to do, make some noise. But this schedule is ridiculous. You got, let's just see. I'm going to count how many playoff teams they played from last year. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of their 17 games are against teams that were in the playoffs last year. So take that information as you will. If some of these games go differently, I could see them pulling off an upset here. Maybe they pull off an upset here. But other than that, I don't think there's really much that goes right for the Giants because they have a really tough schedule. Taking a look at the Dallas Cowboys, which is definitely a interesting team here. Quarterback Dak Prescott, he's getting old. He's probably like 33, 34 now, coming off an injury. And then that running back room is terrible. I guess maybe hopefully Jaden Blue could pan out to something, but other than that, not much going there. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jalen Tolbert could be the best receiving trio in the league, top 5. Tolbert's underrated. Kevontae Turpin has speed. And then CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are self-explanatory, especially CeeDee. Tight end Jake Ferguson, he's good. He's underrated. So this team has a lot of weapons, just not at running back. You have CeeDee, you have George, you have Jake Ferguson. Terp has speed. And then you have Jalen Tolbert. He can be in the slot. Um, Offensive line, you have three people starting named Tyler, so that may get a little confusing when you look to buy a jersey. Micah Parsons, obviously, contract problems right now. I'm hoping he gets traded to Carolina. That's my scenario, but I don't think he's going to leave Dallas as of right now. Oza had a big year last year. Mozzie Smith is yet to pan out, and this defense doesn't look that great now that I look at it. Trayvon Diggs is decent. Deron Bland is decent. Um, yeah, Siobhan Rebel Jr. I think should be starting at nickelback. Um, this this defense doesn't look that great now that I really look at it, especially if they lose Micah Parsons. So if you lose Micah Parsons, this defense is chopped cheese. Um, but if you look at their schedule, let's see. Week 1 at Philly, I have them taking a loss here, but they get a nice win against the Giants, a win against the Bears. They lose to the Packers, they beat the Jets, they lose to the Panthers, they split with the Commanders, they lose to Denver here, they beat Arizona, win here. I think they'll get swept by Philly this year, lose to Kansas City, lose to Dallas. That's a tough, or Detroit, that's a tough stretch there. They get 2 wins here, though. And then the last week of the season, they go 9-8. Oops. But I mean, again, this defense, I think it needs some work. That's my opinion. You don't know how Brian Schottenheimer is going to do in his first year, so I'm going to have the Cowboys go around 500 or a little less. Next team we have in the NFC East is the Washington Commanders. As I've already said before, I gave them their credit for being a surprisingly really good football team last year, but will they do it again? We will see. They also did trade Brian Robinson Jr. earlier to the 49ers for a 6th-round pick, according to Adam Schefter. But the Commanders right now, Jaden Daniels, top 10 quarterback. He was my favorite quarterback coming out of that draft class outside of Drake May. I thought Chicago should have took him, but they didn't. And then at running back, Austin Eckler. Let me tell you guys about Ja'Cory Croskett-Merritt. He's been having a really good preseason. I believe he's a rookie. Yeah, he is. He got drafted in the 7th round. Preseason stats, he had 18 carries, 70 yards, and a touchdown. He did really good in the preseason. Then at wide receiver, you have Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Luke McCaffrey, Noah Brown. I wish Luke McCaffrey was in the top 3, but he's 4th, which isn't bad. You also have KJ Osborne for depth. And then at tight end, you have Zach Ertz. Offensive line, you have Laramie Tunzel, Tyler Biatz from the Cowboys. I believe it's his 2nd year with the Commanders. Sam Cosmi. Defense side of the ball, very old unit. Lattimore's old. Von Miller's old. Bobby's old. Frankie Louw's getting up there. Kinlaw's old. Deron Payne is old. But old isn't always a bad thing. You got a lot of veterans. But as long as they just get younger players to sit behind them and be ready to step up when they leave, like Jerzon Newton, players like that. But this Commanders team, it looks good on paper. They looked good in the preseason that they played. The little bit that I've seen them. We're going to take a look at their schedule. Again, NFL Perry Pick'em. I don't know who made it, besides his name is Perry, but it's pretty good. Recommend checking it out. There's a lot of fantasy football stuff on here, rankings, stuff like that. But the Commanders, week 1 against the Giants, they get a dub. Packers, closer one. They take a loss here, but then they start a little tear. The Commanders start a nice win streak. They lose to the Chiefs. But week 10 matchup, Lions will get them. Week 11, they get an easy win. Win here. Surprising loss to the Vikings. They're going to sweep the Giants. They will split with Philly. And they'll split with the Commanders or the Cowboys. We'll actually switch which games they lose, though. Let's just say they win at home, lose on the road. 11-6 is very fair for the Commanders. I think a better case scenario is they get this win. They get this win right here. and maybe they sweep the Cowboys. But 11 to 13 wins is probably valid for this Commanders team. I don't think they're going to be as good as last year, but I still think they're going to have a good year. They are a good team, and I'm very excited to see how Jaden Daniels does in year 2 with Dan Quinn. Next up, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to keep this one really short and simple. Jalen Hurts, good quarterback. Saquon Barkley, best running back in the NFL. A.J. Brown's top 5. Devontae Smith is the best wide receiver 2 in the NFL. And then you have Dallas Goedert. He's a good tight end. Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, best line in the NFL. And then arguably the best defense in the NFL. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith Jr., Zach Bond, Jacoby. Holy cow. How many Bulldogs do they have on this defense? It's a lot. Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell. This is a really good football team, as we all know. They won the Super Bowl last year. A lot of people think I don't like the Eagles. I like the team, but I don't like how the fans act, which makes me not want them to be successful a lot of the time. But I hope Eagles and Chiefs don't make the Super Bowl this year. I honestly don't hope they get past the divisional round, either of them. I've said it again. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I want to see 2 new teams who have never won a Super Bowl play this year. That's my goal. That's my wish. But week 1, they get a win. Chiefs get the revenge. They lose to the Rams. They start 1-2. People start panicking. But then they go on an absolute tear. Off the bye week. They lose to Detroit. They're on an absolute tear here. They get upsetted by the Commanders. They beat Buffalo. They go 13-4. I think Philly's going to have another great year. It's pretty self-explanatory if you look at their roster. But this is ultimately how I think the division pans out. Similar to last year, I think it's the exact same, actually. The difference I could see is maybe Commanders moving to first, something like that. But I think the Eagles will win it. I think Commanders will be right behind them. I think Dallas will be around 500, and I think the Giants will. They're not going to be a bad team. They're going to be a fun 5-win team, the Giants, but they have a really tough schedule. I don't see them winning many games, even if they play well above expectations on the field. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you check out our other videos. Make sure you check out our TikTok and Twitch. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.